obviously you're single, but you have married friends, and you don't believe that you can't be friends with somebody once you're married. So walk us through that, because I feel like there's a lot of people who have pain in that area. They were close to somebody and then they got married and then things changed, things got different. So how have you been able to keep those relationships?
Well, I would say number one is I'm very respectful of the fact that they are married. So when you were single, we might talk on the phone at 11:30 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m. You're married. I'm not calling you after a certain time. Like, I respect that you're married, you know. I also try to make sure that I'm mindful of how much time. Like, if I go visit, I don't need to stay there for 8 hours, you know, like, and hang out like we used to. So I try to be mindful of those things. And then also, you know, I check in with my friends as well. Like, when they're going through things, like, how can I help you? Like, what do you need from me as a friend versus just doing what I think. I had one friend that said, you know, I got married and y'all all stop calling me. You guys are putting on me your viewpoint of what marriage has to be. I can talk on the phone still to you all. Like, don't stop calling me because I'm married. So, you know, having those open conversations. And like I said, I think it is important to be, you know, friends with both spouses. You know, I may be closer to one than the other, but I think that's also important just so that way there's no issues there.
Yeah. You said a lot there that I think is so good. Let's start with the respect piece.
Yeah.
Because I could see some people hearing that through a lens of, well, I'm grown and they my friend. I knew them longer than they was. I should be able to call. And it's like,
I was here first.
How did you get, maybe you always were like that, but how did you get to a place where it was like you were able to respect your friend?
You know, I respect the institution of marriage as well. And I think that I have a different viewpoint of marriage, and probably because I actually have, you know, a few male friends who are really close friends, so I understand like their viewpoint really well, which is very helpful in a lot of areas. But you know, I understand what marriage is, and I'm like, even though I've known you forever, you chose to marry that person, and marriage to me is about purpose. And so there's a purpose that God has for both of you, and I'm not coming in between nothing that God has put together. I'm not coming in between any of that, you know. So we talk about like what that looks like. You know, I may go out with my guy friend to eat, but I may go out with his wife the next week to go eat. Like, or we may all go out together. And now they have a little one, you know. So we all go as a family, single Sharice in the family, you know, like, and that's okay sometimes. But for me, it's just a matter of like just being aware of myself and being aware of them, like what I think they may need or what they tell me they need, and then what I need as well. And when I feel like some of my friends aren't being the best friends, I tell them that you need to do better. Like, I need a phone call, you know, this month, because what are you doing if you're my friend? So I just think it's about communication and just being honest with what you need and what they need.
Yeah, I agree with that. The communication piece is so big, because I feel like a lot of people struggle with that in general. Like, I've heard somebody use the phrase courageous conversations, because it takes courage to have a conversation with somebody and tell them, hey, I don't like how I feel when you don't reach out to me, or I don't like how you've been treating me as a friend. Like, that isn't something easy, because it takes vulnerability.
Yeah.
And when you're vulnerable, you have a chance you can get hurt.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how did you get to a place where you were confident or courageous enough to be able to have those types of conversations? And then what practical tips would you give somebody who's struggling with that?
Yeah. So the first thing is that I am such a giver. In every relationship, it's like, if I'm your friend, I'm like one of the best friends you'll ever have. Like, I'm like the best daughter, best sister, best like TT. Like, I am a giver. And so I just realized that in a lot of my relationships, I felt like I was giving so much, but not receiving much in return. And I was like, I'm not okay with that. And like I said, I do have a counselor that, you know, I go to. And so through some counseling and some conversations, I begin to unpack that. And she's like, oh, it sounds like you have maybe boundaries issues, right? Or she talks about putting on false burdens, or one of my friends says unrealistic expectation, right? And the thing about it that makes it unrealistic is that you haven't expressed that. So how can I hold you to a standard that I haven't expressed or told you that I need? And so when I really begin to understand all that, I'm like, well, I need to open up my mouth for what I want and for what I need, or they won't know. Sometimes they think they're doing everything right, but it's like, no, I don't even like grape jelly. I like strawberry. You keep buying me this grape jelly. Like, what are you doing? You know? So it's like, if you don't let them know what you need or what you expect, they can't fulfill that role. And I think the other piece of that is understanding that you may express that and they may not change. And so you can't change anybody. You can't control anybody. You can only control yourself. So if I tell you what I need and you keep hurting me and you're not there for me, I may have to reevaluate our friendship.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I hate you. I still love you, but I may not be able to give as much to you as what I was given before because it's not symbiotic. And also, I think understanding your place in that person's life. What did God put you in that person's life for? Why is that person in your life? Some people, as you know, they always say are seasonal people, right? In some seasons, I'm closer to you than in other seasons, or maybe God just put me in your life for a little while to impart something. So I also had to learn the difference between assignments and friendships.
Thanks for watching this video.
To get more Christian relationship advice, subscribe to our channel.
And make sure you check out our other videos as well.